Today, we're doing a global tour across opinion columns, cutting-edge data center use cases, billion-dollar green hydrogen projects in the Middle East, and major industrial fuel switching deals. Buckle up as we separate facts from fiction, hopes from hype, and spotlight hydrogen where it delivers both value and vision. All this on today's Hydrogen Podcast. Hydrogen's role in tomorrow's energy economy is sparking spirited public debate. Recent letters to the editor, especially from skeptical communities in California, have expressed doubts about hydrogen's round-trip energy efficiency. It's true that at the cell or system level, green hydrogen created via electrolysis and then consumed in a hydrogen fuel cell typically posts a 30 to 50% round-trip efficiency. By contrast, battery electric storage can achieve 80 to 90% efficiency from charge to discharge within a single cycle, making batteries the mainstay for short-term and high-frequency needs. However, the real question for large-scale decarbonization isn't just round-trip efficiency. It's about whole system and application-specific value. When the grid must absorb massive intermittent renewable surplus and deliver multi-day, seasonal, or off-grid power, hydrogen pulls ahead. Lithium-ion batteries see exponential material demands, rapid system degradation after about 2,000 cycles, and steep cost scaling for discharge durations above 8 to 12 hours. Building enough batteries to store California's spring solar surplus for use in August's grid peaks would cost an estimated $200 to $300 billion for a single state, this according to industry models. Meanwhile, electrolytic hydrogen stands out for its power-to-X applications, where energy needs to be stored for weeks or months. Hydrogen can be produced during periods of excess renewables at costs that, in advanced market tenders like Spain and Middle East, are falling below $1.40 per kilogram or less than $35 per megawatt hour. Unlike batteries, hydrogen storage in salt caverns or dedicated tanks scales economically. The U.S. has over 1,600 gigawatt hours of cavern storage planned, with per unit capital costs rapidly descending towards $10 to $20 per kilowatt hour for massive deployments, less than a quarter of the price of comparable battery capacity for similar duration. The emissions bonus of hydrogen's long-duration role is substantial. While battery electrics are green at the tailpipe, their full life cycle environmental impact is complicated by mining-intensive supply chains for lithium, cobalt, and nickel. Extracting these metals not only drives up cost, with lithium carbonate recently fluctuating between $15,000 and $80,000 per ton, but creates up to 150 tons of CO2 equivalent emissions per gigawatt hour of battery produced, alongside particulate and water pollution in local communities. Hydrogen, especially when produced via increasingly renewable or nuclear-powered electrolysis or upcoming geological sources, delivers near zero emissions across its use cycle. It avoids the demand for rare earth metals, with hydrogen electrolyzer stacks being far less mineral intensive than battery equivalent capacity. Moreover, hydrogen's combustion or fuel cell use eliminates not just CO2, but the NOx, SOx, and PM2.5 particulates that drive local health crisis and cost the U.S. alone over $100 billion in additional healthcare expenditures annually. Economically, hydrogen enables grid operators with industrial campuses to firm up renewables, converting once curtailed wind and solar power into a storable, dispatchable fuel that is now being transacted in long-term contracts as low to $2 to $3 per kilogram for multi-gigawatt European and Middle Eastern projects. For sectors that require multi-day resilience, such as hospitals, data centers, and critical infrastructure, hydrogen fuel cells and combustion turbines deliver 99.999% reliability, a benchmark required for operations where every minute of downtime can cost millions. In summary, dismissing hydrogen solely based on round-trip cell efficiency ignores its bigger role in achieving reliable, scalable, zero-emission energy systems for heavy industry, grid resilience, and long-term storage. These full-cycle efficiencies, both economic and environmental, paired with sharply falling costs in gigascale projects worldwide that make hydrogen a foundation stone for the next-generation energy infrastructure, not as an all-purpose panacea, but as the smart choice for tomorrow's biggest storage and integration challenges. Shifting gears, let's look at a sector where hydrogen's upside is increasingly hard to ignore: Data centers, and especially those fueling our current artificial intelligence boom. The rise of machine learning and cloud computing has pushed energy demand from hyperscale data centers to staggering new highs. Industry sources estimate that U.S. data center loads could reach 7.5% of all national electricity use by 2030, with some of the largest sites now drawing over 100 megawatts apiece. As grid interconnection timelines stretch and utility capacity becomes a limiting factor, hydrogen is being adopted for both backup and primary power applications. Hydrogen fuel cells supply round-the-clock clean energy, producing only water and heat with no particulate, NOx, or SOx emissions. Critically, these systems allow for true off-grid deployment. Hydrogen can be generated and stored on site or delivered in bulk, providing data center operators with independence from congested power networks and freedom to site facilities based on operational and commercial needs, not just grid constraints. Beyond emissions, hydrogen offers modular scalability, rapid refueling, and an economic edge when paired with local renewables as a storage medium. For high-performance AI workloads, where even a few seconds of downtime translates to lost millions, hydrogen fuel cells have demonstrated 99.999% reliability. Industry giants such as Microsoft and Amazon have been trialing systems at multi-megawatt scale. Running data centers on hydrogen fuel cells also sidesteps water cooling requirements and provides robust backup in case of grid failure. AI is being used to optimize hydrogen production and delivery. For example, the High AI initiative leverages advanced analytics to site production, schedule electrolysis, and lower prices by matching renewable output spikes with hydrogen generation. With energy as the number one OpEx in AI operations, the economics of hydrogen are becoming more attractive as fuel cells and electrolyzers continue their cost decline. And now to the international mega project beat. Saudi Arabia has announced one of the world's most ambitious hydrogen facilities, the 4-gigawatt Yanbu Green Hydrogen Hub, backed by heavyweight Aqua Power and Germany's NBW. This site is targeting 400,000 tons of green hydrogen each year, nearly double the flagship Neon project. The electrolyzed hydrogen will be converted into green ammonia and shipped internationally, positioning Saudi Arabia to supply an estimated 10% of future global hydrogen exports by 2030. The project's scope is enormous. Apart from 4 gigawatts of electrolyzers, it will integrate advanced desalination to provide pure water for electrolysis and will build a dedicated export terminal. While the initial design relies on plugging into existing grid power, huge solar and wind farms are expected to be added to ensure a truly renewable product. Saudi plans to invest up to $270 billion in clean energy by 2030, with Yanbu just one example of its strategy to diversify away from hydrocarbons and claim a central role in global energy markets of the future. Budget estimates for front-end engineering and design, or FEED, already run into the billions, with project costs expected to accelerate as construction and renewable build-out commence. This is not just about decarbonizing on home soil. It's about locking in privileged supplier status to a global clean energy market worth hundreds of billions annually, with green ammonia as a key enabler for shipping, industry, and clean power abroad. Turning to industrial energy, we see hydrogen rapidly replacing natural gas in sectors where electrification either isn't viable or isn't yet economic. Most notably, tissue manufacturer Kimberly-Clark has just inked a £125 million deal to source hydrogen from 2 dedicated production sites in Barrow and Northfleet, UK. Scheduled to commence in early 2027, these plants will provide hydrogen generated and stored exclusively for Kimberly-Clark's use, aiming to halve the company's natural gas consumption for steam processes, a move that will materially chip away at its greenhouse gas emissions and help future-proof its operations. This procurement is much larger than a simple fuel swap. Not only will it support regional jobs, which is an estimated 200 during construction and 10 permanent, it also guarantees commercial viability for the new facilities, which have already cleared funding and planned stages. The strategic logic here is clear. While grid electricity costs are both high and volatile, and carbon pricing for industrial emissions keeps rising, locking in low-carbon hydrogen provides predictable long-term costs, regulatory compliance, and a badge of sustainability in customer markets that increasingly demand it. Moreover, these projects are part of a UK government-backed wave of hydrogen hubs, with at least 10 facilities nationwide now moving to operation. The trends highlight an emerging model: industrial players hedging against both carbon risk and energy price spikes, while hydrogen developers gain buyers who commit to multi-year contracts, a necessary piece of the financing puzzle for new builds. So, what's the through line connecting these headlines? Despite doubts, delays, or public pushback, hydrogen's most compelling role is not just about ticking the box for greenhouse gas emissions. It's about energy flexibility, industry competitiveness, and resilience, and the ability to meet the unique needs of increasingly electrified and energy-intense sectors. In AI data centers, hydrogen meets both the operational and sustainability imperatives of a digitized economy. In global export, plants like Yanbu are laying the pipelines for Europe and Asia's green shifts, and means for countries like Saudi Arabia to maintain global market heft beyond hydrocarbons. And in industrial steam and heat, deals like Kimberly-Clark's show hydrogen is no longer science fiction, but hard-nosed energy strategy with billions in capex now finding bankable customers and proven demand. Hydrogen isn't a panacea, but as the economics improve, experience grows, and use cases multiply, it's no longer about could we, should we, it's about where and how soon. The focus moving forward needs to be on where hydrogen outperforms: heavy energy users, hard to electrify applications, long duration storage, and areas where clean air and energy security are economic imperatives, not just policy targets. Today's stories showcase more than just hydrogen hype. They reveal a sector evolving from pilot to profit, with the market, not just regulators, driving pivotal decisions. Public opinion and technical scrutiny will remain, and rightly so. But data from industry, commerce, and even AI-driven optimization show that hydrogen, when matched with the right use case, is not just a fantasy, but an indispensable pillar in the next chapter of energy. All right, that's it for me, everyone. If you have a second, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a good review on whatever platform it is that you listen to. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, whatever it is. That would be a tremendous help to the show. And as always, if you ever have any feedback, you're welcome to email me directly at info@thehydrogenpodcast.com. So until next time, keep your eyes up and honor one another.